Welcome back to Small Town Murders. I'm your host, Faith.
And I'm your co-host, Reese.
Small Town Murders is a podcast where we talk about small towns and how they aren't the safe havens they seem. So, shut off your lights and lock your doors. This is the case of the teenager who killed his brother over Halloween candy. Okay, so let me set the scene for you a little bit. So, this was one murder. It was a house in the household. And it took place in October 2016. We don't have exact dates because I had multiple sources saying that I have it on the 30th, 31st. A lot of different things.
So no one really knows for sure.
From my sources, I looked at court documents, and I looked at several sites. I've watched several videos, which will all be linked on the website in the show notes. So go take a look. So this takes place, like I said, October 2016 in Springfield, Clark County, Ohio. I have never heard of that before.
I have never heard of that place.
Okay. So in the household, there was our murderer, Nicholas Starling, his brother, Harley Starling. Nicholas was 16, Harley was 14. They lived with their grandmother, Jonah, and her boyfriend, Victorino. Now, something to mention quick is the boys lived with their grandmother because their dad died 2 years prior, and they had a very distant mother who didn't really want to take care of them, so they decided to settle in with Jonah.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like that situation for them. They had a loving home, though, so it's always good. Yeah.
Always good to have a loving home, especially after, like, a parent passes.
A parent passing, a distant parent, you know.
Yeah, it's got to be a lot to handle.
Especially for young teenagers at that point. Harley would have been 12, and Nicholas would have been 14, if I did my math properly.
It's a critical time to have
a lot of,
parental just support.
Yeah. So let's start with the timeline. I'm not sure, like I said, I'm not sure if this takes place on October 30th or the 31st. But according to Harley's obituary, it says October 30th is the day he died. So we'll be going off of that. So basically, that night that Harley was murdered, the family watched scary movies for most of the night, and they later went to bed.
So, get into the spirit of Halloween.
Yeah, I mean, like, Halloween could have been today or tomorrow, you know? Like, It's an exciting family time.
Yeah.
So, according to cameras set around the house and to Nick's questioning, he went to bed around 1 a.m. and woke up at 5 a.m. But before he woke up at 5 a.m., no one knew, like, he didn't go to bed until later questioning. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, like, they questioned him, and that's when they found out. So, basically, Jonah and Nick were together up at 5 a.m., and Nick took a shower, and then Jonah's like, go get your brother so he can take a shower.
Yeah, so basic morning routine time.
But Nick went to go get his brother, and the door was locked. Now, this was extremely unusual for Harley. He wasn't, like, a huge private person. He's never locked his door before. So Jonah and Nick were, like, very concerned. They're like, why is my grandson or my brother's door locked when he's never done it before?
Yeah, that would immediately raise some questions and concerns.
Definitely. So Jonah is like, I'm going to unlock this door. I want to make sure my grandson is okay because he was also not responding.
Yeah.
So she unlocks the door to find her grandson dead and covered in blood and was cold to the touch.
Oh, so it wasn't like a very recent, so he had to been there for...
He had to been, since he was cold, the rigor mortis had already set in, which is like when your body starts to cool down, your blood starts to coagulate.
Yeah.
That's the point of rigor mortis, is when, like, your body cools down.
Do you know how long it takes for that whole process to, like, begin and start setting in?
No clue. I think it takes, like, a couple of hours. Like I said, this was 5 a.m. Nick went to bed at 1 a.m. So we have to think of that timeline, like, in the possibility of when the hours he was murdered, which will get more into the actual questioning, which will then get us into the actual murder. But it must have been quite a few hours.
Yes.
So then Jonah is like, I need to call 911, which I have the 911 clip. All my clips are taken from the YouTube channel Anna Solves, so all credit for these clips go to her.
Were there any weapons around or anything?
I don't know if he was playing with fake blood or what. There's like the fake blood stuff all over his arm and up around his shoulder.
And you said his eyes are open too?
Yes, I shook him because I was trying to wake him up.
Okay, so that's our 911 call.
So she thought it was fake blood on him.
Yeah, so immediately she was like, were the boys playing with fake blood? And apparently there was a blanket covering his face as well.
Oh.
His head was bashed in, and it also appeared he would have been stabbed in the neck, which is where all the blood was coming from, because you have a stab wound in the neck. You have your jugular, your carotid artery, a lot of different blood vessels because they're supplying your brain and your spine, which are really important parts of your body for movement and daily function and for life.
Yes.
So she calls 911, the police get there, and she's like, she thought it was a suicide. I don't think she thought that anyone could kill her grandson. I mean, no grandparent wants to think.
I don't think she would, believe that his brother would do this kind of thing to him.
We'll get into that, though.
Oh.
Because there's something that I did not tell you yet that is very important.
Okay.
So, Jonah thought it was suicide. But police, they thought it was homicide. They're like, there's no way. You're going to kill yourself. You're going to be dead. And then you're going to put the blanket over your face?
Yeah. My question is, how would you do that?
You're going to stab yourself in the neck. Because there was no knife anywhere either. So, he's going to stab himself in the neck enough to kill him. There's no blood in the house. If you're killing yourself, you probably wouldn't clean up blood in the house. You probably would find it. And where's the knife?
Yeah. If it's a suicide, where is the evidence behind that?
And then you're going to go lay back down in your bed and put a blanket over your face. That doesn't make sense. But I guess it's the maternal instinct. She wasn't their mother, but she was their grandmother. So she had that instinct to protect. She's had kids before.
Yeah.
So they start questioning Jonah and Nick. They take them down to the police station because they were part of the discovery.
Mm-hmm.
And when Jonah was asked if it could have been her boyfriend, because, prime suspect, he's the stepfather. You don't know if he didn't want these kids, and she said there was no way.
Yeah.
But with Nick, she was unsure. She said, maybe, I don't know, probably not. Probably not? You can't just say probably not in a police investigation. So they're oh no,
Prime suspect.
Also, something interesting, which we're going to talk about right now. The window was open. The bedroom window in Harley's room was open.
Escape route.
Which was very concerning because they had some creepy neighbors that would stare in with binoculars.
Oh, God.
And look, they weren't, and she's like, maybe it was them because the windows are always locked. And,
Yeah.
So that's really odd. But police are probably not. They might be peeping Toms, but they're not murderers, you know?
They may be a little creepy, but maybe not the step up to murder.
Absolutely. So Jonah was so concerned that she set up a plethora of video cameras, and the only person seen on those video cameras that night, Nick. So I'm going to play you a clip of Jonah's questioning. So we're going to listen to that.
Yeah, Nicholas noticed his window was open. He said his window was open. I said, was it open? I didn't notice.
Were his curtains closed or were they open?
They're automatically closed. They're just always closed. The people behind us watching with binoculars and stuff, so I try to always keep curtains up.
So yeah. Jonah was concerned. She's like, they're always closed, automatically closed. You know?
Their curtains automatically close. There's past people who keep looking in. He wouldn't open his own window knowing that.
You're gonna kill yourself.
Going to that. this timeline of him committing suicide?
Now Jonah is like, it's like setting in for her, like, oh my God, my grandson was
realization.
probably murdered.
Mhm.
Like, his window is open, they can't find a weapon, there's no blood trail, you know, and she's really upset. Like,
Obviously,
this has really impacted her.
It would impact anyone.
Anyone.
Like,
Not everyone.
well,
Not everyone. So,
everyone who wasn't involved in it, really.
definitely.
But like all distant family, I wonder
So-
if the mom felt like anything.
I couldn't find anything on the mother. Like I said, she was very distant, so I don't think she was very involved.
Yeah, but like if she found out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well,
So, Nick's questioning. He was a very high person of interest. They're like, we only saw you on the cameras. You were up at 1 a.m. to take your dogs out. That's an excuse that he had. So he didn't go to bed until 1 a.m. And the grandma's like, okay, he's a night owl. Then why are you up at 5 a.m.? Like, there's been nights that I've stayed up till 1 a.m. and I sleep till noon. If he's a 16-year-old, we're all sleeping till noon. You know?
He's not getting the good sleep.
I mean,
Can we talk about the taking out his dogs at 1 a.m?
who takes the dogs out at 1 a.m? I don't know if
Yeah.
the dogs sleep in his room and maybe they don't go to bed until he goes to bed, so you gotta take them out for the night, you know?
Yeah, but like, that's just odd to me. Like, why you would use that excuse? Because like, I don't think anyone has really like. It's not popular to see people out at 1 a.m. Walking their dogs, just out at night at 1 a.m.
Absolutely. And I was like, that's really weird. So what the investigators noticed was he was using some very big self-soothing behaviors. So he was very closed off. He was like crossing his arms, curled up, like knees to chest, sitting in the chair, and like picking at his skin, like around his cuticles.
Yeah, so immediate body language.
Yeah, he was very closed off. He kind of had these shortish answers. And we are going to get into... So Nick was into some disturbing things, which we're going to get into because it's really important to mention here. So police asked if they were to search, what would they find in the home?
Mm-hmm.
He said jeans with fake blood. He said to not be disturbed by the media on his computer, which the game on his computer, I believe, was called Splatterhouse.
I haven't heard of that.
So it was this very gory game.
Just like a
That
horror
was actually
game.
it was like violent too, and like it wasn't like Call of Duty violent, like the blood, but like times 100.
Oh wow.
Like it was so gory that it was actually banned. Like you cannot get it off the market now.
Mm-hmm.
That's how violent it was. Which I find there's so many violent video games on the market. You have to do a lot to get it banned.
Yeah, like horror games are a very popular thing, especially during like the fall season, because like Halloween, like everyone's in that spooky mood where it's like
Yeah,
horror.
they're like, I want to be scared. It's Halloween. And they also found some just disturbing media in general. Like just
But then again, he was
distur-
16, so like
So,
some things.
There's also pictures of him with like face paint on,
Oh,
but like ghoul face paint, you know, like scary face paint, not like bloody, but he looked like ghastly.
oh, that's
Yeah, I don't know what was up with that. I couldn't really find information, but I'm assuming it could have been from a video game or just his
like an
creativity,
artistic-
like an artistic thing.
yeah. Could be a lot of things that.
He also said that his grandma gave them a baseball bat for protection.
Well,
Which
against
obviously, like the creepy
creeps.
neighbors.
They're creepy neighbors that are using
Which is like
binoculars.
obviously you're gonna want some kind of protection in here. We're in like Hodonk little town here.
Yeah.
Like we have some weaponry, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So like that isn't abnormal for us. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
that's-
okay, they had a baseball bat. Like, okay.
I feel like a lot of people, even in the city, have
like
baseball
they have
bats.
some form of protection in case somebody breaks into their home.
Yeah.
Now, they go into the house, and that's why we know all the media on their computer, and they find the jeans shoved to the bottom of like a hamper, like the laundry. They said the laundry, but like they said it was in a basket, so I'm assuming it's a hamper.
Yeah.
Because that's what we call them here, hampers. We don't just call it laundry, because laundry's just like dirty clothes to me.
Yeah, laundry's just like the pile of dirty clothes.
Like a hamper is what you put the laundry in.
Mm-hmm.
And then you put it in a laundry basket when it's clean. I digress. So they actually took those and tested them, and they came back with Harley's blood.
So he just flat out lied
He just
about
flat
the
out
fake
lied about
blood.
fake blood.
I mean, I see where he would have gotten the idea of saying that because it's Halloween. It could be very believable.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, it's incredibly believable. They are like,
But with police in the situation, that's where it's like, maybe not as believable.
definitely. They also found the baseball bat they used for protection outside of Harley's window, like a couple feet away.
Mm-hmm.
Like-
And you said his head was bashed in.
Yeah, his head was bashed in, and usually I wouldn't leave my protection if somebody breaks into my home.
Yeah,
Outside, that doesn't really make sense to me. So the police are like, oh God, I think we have enough evidence to take Nick into custody. Now, like I
Yes.
also said, Harley was stabbed in the neck. It was a kitchen knife that he cleaned up. So we don't know what kitchen knife it was, but we know it was a kitchen knife,
Okay,
and
so
he cleaned it. He like cleaned it off and put it back.
mm-hmm.
He's like cleaning up he's like destroying evidence technically.
Yeah,
Can murderers destroy the evidence? I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know either. Okay. So basically, police are like, yeah, we're pretty sure this is Nick.
Mm-hmm.
So they
There's
start,
a lot of arrows pointing directly at him.
yeah, so they start laying on the cold hard truth. They're like, you don't seem like you're sad at all. Like, he wasn't crying. He didn't seem to be grieving. Like, everyone grieves in their own ways, but they're like, this kid is not grieving.
Yeah, like this kid is just like it's just an every other day.
Yeah, it's like an every other Tuesday, you know?
Yeah, like his
And-
brother just.
Yeah, like my brother just died. It's fine.
Yeah.
So he also found, when they went to search the home, I believe when they went to search the home, a string tied around a cat's neck. And Nick was like, yeah, this is me. He confessed to trying to strangle it because he was upset at it. And if you don't know what the homicidal triad is, the homicidal triad is basically a like markers for children that could have homicidal tendencies. So I believe it is hurting animals, wetting the bed beyond like a reasonable age,
Yeah.
and starting fires. So he's already met one marker for the homicidal triad. And then he confesses. So he says that he beat Harley over the head 15 times, but he wasn't quite dead yet. So he took the kitchen knife
Mm-hmm.
and stabbed him in the neck several times. And then just hid the evidence, cleaned up, and then went to sleep.
How did
He went to sleep after.
How do you sleep after
Like-
doing that? Like there had to be an adrenaline rush in his like going on.
Like, imagine you're gonna go murder your brother, and then you slept after. Like, could you? Like, I don't even want to put you in that mindset of like murdering
No.
your brother. But like, how could? Like, because I don't have a brother, I only have a sister, which I guess is like the same thing. But I could imagine sleeping after. Like, you're just like, oh,
Yeah.
every other Tuesday, just murdering my brother. I'm gonna go to bed, and I'm gonna wake up at 5 a.m. and go shower. And he said that the reason that they got into the argument was over candy, and he was still upset about it. So he's like, I'm gonna go murder my brother over candy.
Oh, wow.
Halloween candy.
Halloween candy, and they hadn't even
I
gotten
don't know if they've gotten it yet. Like I said, there were
Yeah.
sources saying the 31st, the 30th, but Harley's
There was-
obituary said the 30th.
there was a high possibility
Mm-hmm.
that they haven't even gotten the candy. It's just they had an argument, like siblings do constantly. Like siblings, you think there's bickering,
Yeah,
and
like-
arguments that just come and go.
I'll go fight with my sister, and then like 20 minutes later, I go walk into her room and we're best friends later.
Yeah,
Like-
like you'll have a screaming match, and then 20 minutes later, hey, you want a Skittle?
Yeah, literally. That's how me and my sister are. Like, we'll get into fights about the dumbest things ever, and then I'm like, hey, do you want to go do this with me? Do you want to go watch Criminal Minds together? Do you want to go color together or something like that?
You want to go play with the dog?
Literally, do you want to go take the dog on a walk? And she'll be like, yeah, let's go, bestie boo. Like,
Yeah, but it just extended for him with his brother so far, so quickly.
yeah, so let's move on to the trial. So it was moved from juvenile court because he was 16 years old to adult court because of his age. So, like, if you're 16 and you murdered somebody,
I don't think you should go to juvie.
I don't think you should go to juvie.
That is a very hard thing.
So he was unable to claim self-defense because he confessed that Harley was sleeping at the time. So, like, there was no way this could be self-defense. Like, he was helpless sleeping. I don't think he woke up, though, so, like...
I really hope he didn't suffer through this whole thing.
I mean,
like, I couldn't imagine, like, waking up to, like, getting your head bashed in and then stabbed several times, especially not to see your brother being the one that doing that.
Yeah, I cannot imagine that be my last image, you know? And we shouldn't imagine that as our last image, because this is, like, a victim of a horrendous crime.
Yeah.
So he was, like I said, he was unable to claim self-defense. And he tried to claim insanity, but that didn't work out for him. They're like, because they took him for the psych tests and everything, they're like, you're not criminally insane.
Yeah.
You got in a fight over candy, and now you're paying the price for it. So he was sentenced for 15 years to life, and he was then incarcerated at the London Correctional Institute, and he will be eligible for parole in 2032. So if I have my math right, he could get out in his 30s.
Wow.
Like, do I think he'll get out? Probably not. I mean, you killed your own brother.
Over a small argument, I feel like that would just lead to so many bad things.
Oh, yeah. It's absolutely horrible. So, remember, Harley was a real person. We all have to remember this. We'll just all, because, like, you get immersed into it so much that you don't realize that these are real people.
Yeah,
with,
you
like,
just think it's like, oh, it's just a story. Things like this wouldn't happen to me or to someone I care about or anything like that.
He was described as a kind of quiet kid, but was super kind and always tried to make you smile. And I'm going to leave you with one more thing. The county prosecutor actually described this as, his name was Andy Wilson. He said it was the worst child-on-child crime he has ever seen.
Oh, wow.
So just to, like, leave you with that. Like, I think it takes a lot for, like a person of that high status in the law to be like, this is the worst crime I've ever heard of.
Yeah. Like, there's so much things that play into that, like coming up into being like, yes, this was the worst one I've ever encountered.
So we're going to leave you with that to ponder. And until next time, I'm your host, Faith.
And I'm your co-host, Reese.
And we're out.